Welcome to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Marie, a courage coach, creative soul, and adventure seeker. Since through hiking the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, I'm on a mission to help you embrace your most confident self so you can achieve your dreams too. If you're eager for deep conversations, big questions, and meaningful connections, join me on the quest to discovering how we can create a more magical and memorable life. Hello nerds, how are you doing? The other day, Ollie and I were listening to Sims music and reminiscing. The music is actually quite good. And Ollie said, should we buy the game and play together? And I was like, no way. I don't want it to take over my life like it did when I was a teenager. Did you also play Sims like I did, using the password Rosebud to get more money and design a really cool house for your characters? Now, I want to know, if you were a Sims, tell me how much of your current life is the result of intentional, self-initiated design versus what an external player chose for you. In this case, the external player might show up in the form of your parents influencing what you chose to pursue or not, the school system encouraging certain types of avenues more than others, or the media telling your subconscious what's possible and what's not. From the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you go to sleep, think about how much of your life was purposefully chosen by you versus how much of your life feels like it's just happening around you and you're simply playing the part that you were given. What's the first thing that you do when you wake up? If you were given a menu of potential activities to do first thing in the morning, would you choose this one again? If you were to open your wardrobe and find that it's empty, would you get clothes similar to the ones you own right now or something completely different? What about the work that you do? If you could start all over again and go back to the day when you picked your career path, what would you do? Would you make the same decision? How's the house that you come back to at the end of the day, or that you spend your whole time in right now for some of us? Does it feel safe and homey? Does it feel like you? What about the people that you spend time with? Would you choose them again today? If your friendships and partnerships were a cell phone plan, would you renew them every month, or would you lower your minutes? And what about the activities that you do in your free time? Do you do them by default, or because they calm you down or fill you up? Now, you don't have to change any of that right now. I'm just asking those questions so that you have an opportunity to tell yourself the truth of what is, to notice what still serves you versus what's maybe out of alignment. 5 years ago, I accepted a full-time job in a design studio because I thought I should try what it's like to have a stable office job. I applied because it was on the job board and I had the qualifications. I started working there because I went to an interview and they chose me. Can you hear in what I just said how passive I was in this decision? I thought I should try this. It was there. I had the qualification, they chose me, might as well go. Now that's okay. Sometimes we gotta try things to understand what's for us and what's not for us. Just as long as we don't remain passive and settle for a life we have not actively chosen. As soon as it was clear to me that this job was not for me, I started looking for a way out. I remember going for lunch with my boss and almost begging him to fire me. He was telling me about some financial struggles that they were having, and I was like, just let me go. But he wouldn't. He was like really proud, and he said, we don't do this sort of thing. We're going to do everything to keep everyone on board. So good on him. But I kept looking, and as soon as I was offered a freelance gig, I was out the window. Respectfully, of course. What gets in the way of us taking the reins back is always fear. Fear of making the wrong decision. Fear of judgment. Fear of disappointment. In my program, Brave and Bold, I question my clients on how they've shown up in their life so far and help them design a truer, more intentional way of being. The other day, one of my clients shared some really wise insight. She said she's always been scared, but now when she looks at the person and the life she is creating, she feels like she gets to be purposefully scared instead, like a haunted house, she said. You go there for excitement. And my mind exploded. That is exactly it. Life is scary no matter what you do. So might as well make it exciting like a haunted house. I mean, I'm not a great example because I hate horror movies and haunted houses. But I know some people who love the thrill and the stories that come with it. So are you going to passively stay home afraid of what's in the outside world, or are you going to actively choose which haunted house you want to adventure in next? In my 20s, I had to be bored at lots of parties before I chose to face the fear of disappointing others by truthfully saying I'm not coming. Instead of remaining passive and following them, I decided to enter the haunted house of unapologetic self-expression and the risks attached. When I lived in London, I had to overstay my time there and make myself miserable before I chose to face my fear of upsetting my partner and starting over in Canada. Instead of staying passive and carrying on with what we were doing, I decided to enter the haunted house of bold and aligned action and everything that comes with it. Deciding to hike the Pacific Crest Trail was its whole other massive haunted house. Lots of rooms there. The room of self-belief, the room of total discomfort, pain, rain, darkness. Now, running a coaching business is the haunted house I'm currently in. I get to hang out in the room of self-belief again, and there are new monsters, just like the birds in the Hunger Games, whose singing imitates the sounds of your biggest fears. I guess what I'm telling you is to go towards the fear, because what makes you feel like you might die right there and then will actually make you feel alive. And you will go from slightly bored with your life and afraid to die with no stories or no legacy, to half terrified and half excited every morning because you're finally pursuing something that lights you up. You don't need to know exactly what that is right now. You just gotta follow the fear and trust that it will bring you to what your heart most desires. And what your heart most desires is never a thing or a job or a person. It's a feeling that you are doing something bigger than yourself, that you matter, that the magic exists. And oftentimes what I see you guys do is overthink what your purpose could be. But when you overthink, you are avoiding your feelings. You're in your head instead of in your heart. And if you stop overthinking for a little bit, you get to feel the fear. And then you get to follow the fear and see where it takes you. Yes, you will offend people. You will lose friends along the way, you will mess it up, and you will feel embarrassed. So what? This is normal and this is to be expected. You will be on an adventure. Just promise me that you'll be kind to yourself when it gets tough. Because if you beat yourself up at the first sign of struggle, you're gonna want to run back to the comforts of before. And what I mean by that is that people start something new, they try really, really hard to make it work, and when it doesn't, or when it doesn't work yet and it gets hard, they give up and go back to normal life and say things like, I'm not gonna try this new thing again because I've just proven to myself I'm not good at this. You're not giving up because it's hard or because it doesn't work. You're giving up because of the pressure you put on yourself to get it right the first time and to be perfect. That's what feels awful. That's what you run away from. Your brain and its critical self-talk. But guess what? You can stop that new sport. You can leave the trail. You can quit the job. But your brain is still coming with you. So might as well keep going through the trenches and use this new thing you're doing as an opportunity to grow, to learn how to manage that inner critic, to talk to it instead of listening to it. Don't let that voice or anyone's voice take charge. You are the leader of your own life, okay? So tell me, are you going to live your life looking for safety and trying to run away from that voice in your brain? Or are you going to have stories to tell from your rocking chair? Will you have gone through lots of haunted houses and have funny anecdotes to share? Will you look back on your life and think, oh my God, I cannot believe all the adventures I've been on? I don't know about you, but that's the kind of life I want to lead. So I hope you join me. Have a great week and let's get scared. Because it means we're alive. All right, bye-bye. You just listened to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. Make sure to subscribe and to find me on Instagram at Self-Growth Nerds. If you want individual help developing the confidence to create a more meaningful and exciting life, visit selfgrowthnerds.com today to learn how. Finally, I want to thank my friend Etienne Galano for editing this, and I want to thank you, kind-hearted souls, for growing into your truest, most courageous selves every day and making this world a better, more beautiful place. My name is Marie, and I will talk to you next week.